Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Thursday morning trading room. Hang on here a second. We're going to get the screen share going on. Okay. So the market's just opening up after a very bearish day yesterday, which was nice to see. Not nice in the sense that the market was heading lower, but nice in the sense that there was actually something resembling a trend going on yesterday. A quick look here now at the overnight. You can see again the market very much in a downward bias, at least a few hours going into the open. And we're actually, in spite of this big bear move, we're actually opening fairly close to where the market left off yesterday. I think the market finished yesterday somewhere around the 7,000 area. And here we are opening just below there. So a very, very slight upside gap. Probably not one that's going to influence the market all that much, but we'll see. It's still early. Quick review here. I see there's a couple of new names in the room this morning. Welcome. If you have any questions, please don't be shy about asking. What you're looking at here is the complete DTS system along with the Raptor. So here in the top left, I have the Hawk Micro Scalper. Top right, I've got the Falcon Swing Trader. Bottom left is the Eagle Trend Trader. And then the bottom right, of course, is the Raptor. Hey, good news, Mark. Mark says, good morning, Eric. Back up and running with a new internet provider finally. I now have a dedicated line specific to my home, and it came with faster speeds as well. Woohoo! That's always nice. Yes, you need a good internet connection for trading, and while I think of it, it's a good time to mention you should also have a contingency plan for those times your computer goes down or the power fails or something happens that you lose a connection. You need to know what to do if you are in a trade and you can no longer monitor your trade. Rule number one, always have a stop loss order in play. Always, 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 always. Rule number two, have a fully charged cell phone along with your a direct line to your broker's desk. Make sure you know your account number and make sure that you can talk to a real person on the other side. So at the very least, you will be able to flatten your order, get someone to manually flatten your order for you. This is why journaling is important as well, because you want to know what your entry price is, right? If you got to phone the order desk, you want to be able to say, I'm long from 69.85 3/4 on the September NASDAQ. Where is it trading now? All right, well, a lot of stuff going on here out of the gate. Beautiful hard edge bounce here on the Eagle. That one was practically textbook. So the trading band changing direction. We got our trend change signal. We got actually this was almost a textbook rule of three signal also on the Eagle. So early opportunity to get long there pre-market. This, I believe, is your first signal of the day. Took a little heat on it once it hit that hard edge bounce, but the market seems well on its way now to finding the profit target. We had a similar signal here on the Hawk with the first micro macro cross. The Falcon a little bit late with the signal, just producing a signal there now on the Falcon. And the Raptor also here with a very nice hard edge bounce and a number 3 signal. So the market looking very strong here to start the day. Which makes me wonder, are we going to see a rally today? Okay, well, we'll give them a few minutes. Now that I've missed this number 3 signal, I'm kind of left sitting on my hands. I sure hope that's not going to be the move of the day, although the way it's starting to shape up. All right, a little bearish pushback now. Maybe. We're not even 10 minutes into the day yet, so we can afford to give them a little bit of time. Hey, way to go, Mark. Mark says, the late filter entry signal has been awesome lately, still in the trade with a runner. I'm thinking this might be the one you took advantage of right here. That's a fantastic start to the day. Beautiful. Okay, here we are now back into the hard edge. We're going to see another bullish push from here. Oh, shoot, there they go with the number 3 signal. They're almost moving too fast for me here this morning. Okay, a second push entry opportunity. What time is it? Oh, okay. It's not my favorite time of the day to trade. I can't start with that stop. I was going to say I'm going to start with a broad stop. Oh, Eric, a little bit too long getting into the trade. Missed that opportunity. Okay, well, we'll just put it on the sidelines here for now. So back-to-back red bar buys here on the Eagle, both so far with outstanding results. It's so nice when the market actually has some follow through to it. And I do believe we have a resistance line near us. So yes, we do. So the median line sitting here at 70.17 1/4. It looks like it's affecting the market perhaps a little bit. Pardon me. Well, what happened to all that bullishness? Look at this. Now the hawk getting a little bit more bearish. The eagle starting to drift sideways, and well, the falcon is a little bit giving us the roller coaster effect. Okay, this is almost like a rule of 3. Not quite. It's up to you whether you're going to interpret this as a test of the extreme right here and now the failure. The hawk already very bearish. The falcon producing a trend change signal. Let's see what's going on here on the raptor. Well, you could call this an early trend change signal. The cloud's not fully crossed yet, so it's an early cloud crossover. We don't have the signal yet, by the way. We only have the warning dot. All right, here now the late, or the whatchamacallit, the cloud cross signal. And I had a second push opportunity there, and we'll see. Okay, no slippage, that's good. Down to break even, and we should be able to hit our profit target. All right, there we go. Question here from Richard. Richard asks, Eric, have you ever considered adding market profile for context, specifically value, high value area, low value area, and point of control? Short answer, no. Long answer, the nice thing about the DTS system is that you can add things to it if you find them helpful. Now, for those of you who don't know what Richard's talking about, market profile, let's see if I can even get it here. I don't think I have it. Well, here, this will be close. This won't be exactly the same thing, but it'll be close. And I'll make this a little darker so people can see what it is. Okay. So you've probably seen these price charts with these histograms plotted vertically. This one is doing volume, but there's one called market profile, which focuses more on price. And the idea is that you can see where it's referred to as a value area. This whole little blip, this price structure, will produce what's called a value area. And the idea, it's going to become quite broad. You know, we're going to have lines way up here. Oops, sorry. We're going to get several of these things forming. Anyways, here's the crash course on it. The idea, some of you will have heard of a bell curve. The idea is that 70% of the trading will occur within this area, and the price that's traded the most is going to be what's referred to as the point of control. The notion is that if prices are outside the value area, they will continue higher. If they're outside the value area and they get inside, they're going to continue lower. That's kind of the Reader's Digest version. You can do a rough approximation of value areas even without the software. Hold on a second here. I can't multitask. Where are you? There you go. You can do a rough approximation of value areas even without the software. And normally what you do is you're going to take a look at the previous day's activities. So we'll look at the eagle here because it will make it a little bit easier. Lots of stuff going on there in the overnight. Okay, so here's yesterday's trading. And what we're looking at is we're kind of trying to look at a snapshot. Actually, I'm not even going to see it well on the eagle. I may have to look at a time-based chart. Bear with me. Okay, so here now is the daily. Let's say we'll look at a 15-minute. So here's a 15-minute chart. This is where yesterday's trading began. Right there. Where's the open? Come on. Okay, so this is all yesterday's trading. Yesterday's trading is going to be a little bit more difficult because it's kind of making a straight line down. But if we take a look at the trading from the day before, where would you say 70% of the trading occurred? Well, I would probably say, wrong tool. I would probably say 70% of the trading fell somewhere in here, right? They were a little bit high. They got down here, then they recovered, and it looks like they spent about 70% of their time within this price range. Well, that would now be my value area for the next day. And the idea is, okay, the market opens, it opens above the value area, it gets inside here, well, then it's going to try to get to the bottom end of the value area. And you can see it did just that. If I load a few more days, it's an interesting study, actually. If I load a few more days, let's see. I don't need 20 days, but we'll just do a couple of these so you can see the concept. And you're always looking at the prior day's activities. Here we have some gaps, so it doesn't really help us. Let's take a look at this one here. Okay. And this session goes to okay, so if this is our trading day, where would you say the market spends 70% of its time? It looks like it was a pretty quiet day. I would say the market probably spent 70% of its time somewhere in here. Well, actually, it's not as good an example as I thought. The market did stay outside the value area the next day because what you're going to do is you're going to extend these lines, right? It gets outside, comes down, finds a little support, but it gets inside this value area and it tries to get down toward the bottom end. That's the long and short of it. Like I say, it's an interesting study. It's not one that I follow very closely, but you know, Richard, the bottom line is, does it help you make a trading decision? So here's yesterday's trading range. Because it's trending, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to decipher. So I would probably do a rather large range, probably something like this, maybe from around 70.20 to around 70.30, 71.30. So now the idea is, if the market gets inside here, then it's going to try to get back up here toward the highs. The point of control is a little bit more difficult to decipher. You would have to have a volume profile on the day so you can see the most actively traded price. But like I said, the bottom line is, does it help you make a trading decision? What you don't want is, you don't want to go down that rabbit hole of trying another indicator and another indicator and another indicator, thinking that that's the solution. That's not the solution. Stephen here says he's not a fan of market profile himself. Yeah, like I said, the bottom line is, does it help you make a decision? Believe it or not, The most important part in trading is the ability to make a decision. It's not the profit. I know that sounds weird, but so many people start throwing so much stuff on their charts because they're afraid of losing money all the time that um, they forget the point of trading is to take a trade and hopefully get a profit out of it. Wow, we're getting some really brisk follow through here. I better start paying a little closer attention. Okay, we're seeing some interesting moves now. Okay, we're starting to waffle a little bit. A nice retrace here on this number 2 signal. I bet you our trading band was probably about 40, 50 ticks broad. So it went from 70.05 to 70, where's the top of that? Right there, around 70.20. So 15 ticks, yeah, it's kind of on the cusp there. 15, yeah, 60, 15 points, that'd be 60 ticks. When your trading band gets rather wide like that and you produce a number 2 signal, there's a better chance the market's going to try to get into that hard edge. We've now broken above the median line temporarily. Okay, and a hard edge bounce. This could produce a number 1 signal now that the clouds are trying to get back into sync. I don't know. What do we think the trend is here this morning? Is it bullish or is it bearish? We've seen big moves both ways. I suppose right now the buyers exhibiting a little bit more control. But kind of neutral. The Hawk introducing a few more yellow bars now, as is the Raptor. We're back into the hard edge of the trading band where we're going to anticipate some sort of reaction. Okay, so here we come with yet another hard edge bounce. Like I said, this won't print as a number 3 signal because the clouds are intertwined, but visually you can see that we are into the hard edge. We'll see if we produce a buy signal from here. Thanks, Scott. Scott says, the magic 8 ball says to short. Okay, good to know. Oh, look at that magic 8 ball, right again. All right, let's put that up on the shelf for now. Oop. Uh-oh, the magic 8 ball might be broken. Okay, the cloud's now in sync. Next signal we produce will be a number 1 signal. So here's the warning dot. Oh, wow. We're getting some really, really quick moves. Oh, there's the number 1. I'm just going to buy into that, and I'm going to, didn't need to worry about my stop. Oh, darn, got tagged at break even right away. Okay, well, it was a valiant effort. The market not giving me much follow through on that number 1 signal, and coming back with a number 2 right on the heels of it. So, you know, looking at the left side of this chart, it's starting to look like we might be entering a little bit of a period of congestion before the next move. Scott says, bad news. Magic 8 ball says +2 is the target. Oh, well, in that case, the old Magic 8 ball was right on the mark. All right, we're flip-flopping a little bit. As the market once again gets a little bit more bearish. We'll just have to watch and wait for a little while until we get a better idea. We're bouncing back. So they seem to be struggling for trend right now. We've kind of taken out some of these lows. The Eagle is going to produce now a trend change signal. So our band has gone from bullish to bearish. Here now the trend change signal on the Eagle. Oh dear, it's going to run away on me. Well, there it is anyways. Could I cover it up there? Oh, I could. And here on the Raptor, we're actually getting a couple of better opportunities. We're producing a number 3 signal. Oh, look at that. We got that 232 signal, which is characteristic of a reversal. In this case, that would be a move higher. It actually wouldn't be a counter trend move. It would be a with trend move with the larger uptrend. Okay, I'm gonna clear this trade here. Okay, it's starting to look like the buyers are in control today, which means should be on the lookout for buying opportunities. This now kind of a convoluted number 1 signal, not really the best number 1 signal because the trading band is fairly neutral. Let's see if we're getting anything else here. No, the Hawk dead neutral. The Eagle now fairly neutral as well. And the Falcon's quite conflicted also. And this whole back and forth twist continues. And As you can see, we produced a really quick little number one signal here to the short side. And we're getting some decent follow through to the short side. So this was a good signal here as the bands kind of got in sync. The bad news is it unfolded a little bit too quickly. You can see from the timestamp here, we didn't have a whole lot of time to get this trade put together. And, well, it happens. Down to the primary support now, or near primary support. Nicely done. Mark says I was able to capitalize on the trend change signal in the Falcon. So that would have been this one right here. So your trend line changing from, actually there were a few here that would have worked out. So we had a trend change from red to green, and then from green to red. And here yet another trend change. So, you know, when the market is moving this quickly, trading can be tough. You should not feel rushed to take a trade. If you miss a trade, you miss a trade. Honestly, it's not the end of the world. There will be another one. Okay, so here's the number one signal. We now have a second push opportunity. I would probably even structure my trade something like this and take it above this high instead of this high. Remember how I tell you when we're trailing stops, you're always better off being 2 swings back? Well, the same notion here. If the market's truly going to head higher, well, it's going to need to take out at least 2 swings before prices continue trading higher. But it doesn't look like they're interested in doing that at the moment. They're just kind of interested in churning about. Now we're getting a number one to short. So here, this now is our second push opportunity on the number one signal. When the market is bouncing around like this, using a second push is not a bad way to get into a trade. I know from our entry or our suggested entry to our actual entry is a long ways away. But it's better to be on the right side of a trade, even if it means delayed in the entry. I should actually, all right, well, there's a number 3 signal. I was going to say I should actually scrub this trade. Yeah, it's going higher. So I'm going to pull this trade for now. And I'm just going to let them thrash about here a little bit until they actually make up their mind which way they want to go. Given yesterday's strong move lower, I think I might be inclined to be a little bit more bearish. This was yesterday's chart. Big bar a few days ago. You got to watch those big bars, especially ones that close near the end of the session. This was a very, very strong bar. It was almost a given the next day would be another rally bar here too. See, this one didn't. Oh, this was yesterday's session, closed near the low, so it's a very. It seems very likely that today's session will be bearish as well. No guarantees, of course, but it looks like there's a fair amount of downward momentum. So here we're coming back with, oh, we had a couple of signals here now, just a discretionary signal. Okay, so we're getting a hard edge sell, and I'm going to pop in on this one. Oh, there we go. We got a, no, they're not going to give me a chance. So I'm just going to have to enter that way. Oh, they slipped me a few ticks as well. Stinkers. Let's see, oop, try to get a couple of ticks back from that. And set my stop. A couple of swings back. And we'll see how the daily trend follows through now, whether there is some follow through. Again, you can see all this candy striping, all this congestion. It's really perhaps not the ideal signal, but I'm hoping that the bigger daily trend is going to have some influence here on the market and hopefully result in a little bit of a move here to the downside. The big key is getting below this swing down here, which would be at 69.87 and a quarter. Once we're below there, the market definitely has a little bit of room to move. If I can get one more swing here in my direction, I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive with my stops. And there we go. We'll bring these to break even now. Come on. No. No, they're not quite ready yet. All right, let's just put that away. You can see prices just overlapping. If we were looking at a time-based chart, the bars would just be one stacked on top of the other. All this candy striping, I'm not sure I've ever seen so much candy striping in the background. Oh, there we go. Now we're getting a little bit more follow through. A couple questions here. Scott writes, hey E, hey S, what's up? He says, take a look at your Bollinger Divergence on the Eagle when you have a big cloud at the line of support or resistance and divergence, a triple threat like at 641 today. 641, somewhere around here. Okay, I'm not entirely sure what you mean by Bollinger Divergence, but we have had a retest of the high, of course. And a big cloud, yes. Well, of course, the raptor adopts the cloud from the eagle. So same thing with the eagle and the raptor. When the cloud gets really, really broad, if I put a, let's throw maybe a stochastic on here. Where are you, stochastics? The big cloud shows a market that's really overbought or oversold. So you can see the cloud quite broad, quite wide, and the stochastics telling us that the market is very overbought. Here the cloud gets quite wide and stochastics very oversold. Quite wide, overbought. So you don't need to have an indicator like stochastics or RSI or whatever on your chart. You can just kind of track your clouds. And when the clouds get really, really wide, know that the market is potentially overextended and that there may be a pullback. Here you can see the cloud gets overextended, but this looks nothing like this. Right? Here's a nice smooth transition. The market gets really wide. I think the raptor actually produced a signal for us here and a nice smooth move lower. Compare that to this. This is just a mess. The market going back and forth. But good observation, Scott. Absolutely. Got to keep an eye on those, the breadth of those clouds. Steve asks, Big E, what is your feeling on signals runner 24/7 or starting fresh every morning? Okay, I think what Steve's asking is, do I take signals from the overnight into the session? Yeah, you can. I think Mark is trading a lot pre-market and he's doing pretty well with it. About an hour before the North American Open, we traditionally see a report, and very often the early morning volume sometimes can be greater than the opening volume. So I don't have an issue with it. I'm here on the West Coast, as I know you are, so I'm not an early riser. It's all I can do to get here to make the market open. But I don't have an issue with the overnight signals. Just make sure that there's enough volume going on with it, because sometimes your overnight will look like this, where you're just not going to get anything. Thanks, Steve. Steve's sticking up for me with his wife. He says, my wife tells me you're boring. And that you say the same thing all the time. And I told her, yes, it is either buy, sell, or do nothing. And that is what I like. I do not need a movie review. That's funny. Oh, I see. Okay, Scott's using the Bollinger Band Suite in conjunction with his Eagle, and that's how he's getting his divergence. Oh, I see. As Stephen says, no, not trading at night, but rather trading off signals that have been running through the night or start fresh every morning. In that sense, I start fresh. I figure the day session is the native session. That's the one everybody's interested in. That's the one that's going to have the most volume to it, the most activity. So that's the one I'd focus on. Oh, yes, of course. And Scott says, and your fancy support and resistance lines are a must-have. Well, that goes without saying. All right, we got ourselves a real sideways mess going on here right now. Not much we can do with it. Sometimes your biggest challenge as a trader will be trying to determine trend. Once you get a handle on trend, it becomes a little bit easier, but trying to decipher, is the market more bullish? Is it more bearish? What's going on? All right, it looks like we're getting another number one signal to try to short. We're kind of at the bottom end of this trading range that's building. Mark, you're a braver man than I. Mark says I took that first micro macro cross and hit his profit targets. He says I'm done. All right. Well, we've got a number one signal. We do have the second push opportunity. We're right here at the primary support. Ooh, look at that. Quick little move lower. Followed up with a number three signal. This is a risky trade, folks. There's the potential that if we break this low right here, there could be some serious follow through. But until we get below that low, it's going to be a bit of a crapshoot. Come on. You can do it. shy of the break even, so I'm going to roll my break even up a little bit. If I catch another swing lower, okay, hit the first profit target, hooray. And given the way the market has been, I'm going to go with a more aggressive stop here this morning. I'll go with the parabolics. Well, could not get the follow through on the next one, which is unfortunate. As the chop continues, we're drifting a little bit, kind of making our way back toward the lows of the morning. And it looks like everything's kind of just gone dead quiet. Mark pressing his luck, grabbing one more late filter entry signal. Yeah, Mark says it's a pretty good day despite the chop, and it is. There's been some decent moves. It's not a stellar day for me, but I picked up a couple of trades, and now, of course, it looks as though the bottom might be in. I don't know. A big push up from here, perhaps? This is going to be now a cloud crossover, or an early cloud crossover, I guess. Because the cloud's not fully crossed, so the number one signal won't print just yet, but you can see it's got all the elements of a cloud crossover. Where the cloud's almost fully crossing, we've got the pullback, we've got the market trying to resume the new trend. And of course, using a second push opportunity, you could be a little bit more aggressive. You could try to enter right here. That'll probably work out just fine. Okay, the next buy signal should be a proper number one signal. There it is. So now we have the number one signal confirmed, and are they going to try to break the high? There they go, take out that little swing high, and hooray, no trouble getting up to our profit target. And then the chop settles in again. Yeah, I guess it isn't a bad day today, given how the market's been thrashing about. That was a clean trade, Scott. You're right. Oh, and it looks like I should have left a runner in play for a change, but that's all right. I'm not upset about it. Given what preceded it, given all this sideways choppiness that we're trading into again, I'm okay with my profit. No point in being greedy. Yes, Scott says you and your runners. Well, they're nice when they work, and that's what keeps you coming back. All right, big move up, almost back to that median line. In spite of all the activity today, we really haven't moved all that far. A very tight little sideways kind of trading day. Now we're kind of back in that familiar zone where we have been, where we've actually spent much of the trading day. This big move up, or relatively big move up, right here, makes me think that the buyers are probably in control at this point. That's not to say we won't see a pullback of sorts, rather that I'm probably going to be a little bit more bullish than bearish. Or maybe not. Maybe they're just going to keep drifting sideways. Okay, into the first hard edge now. And we can anticipate a little bit of a reaction from here. The problem with this trade is going to be covering it. You pretty much need to cover it down here, at least to start. I don't know if I'm ready to do that just yet. We don't have a buy signal at the moment. While we're waiting for something to develop, just a reminder, we will not have a trading room next week. It's the holiday week, the holiday falling right in the middle of the week. And so we're just going to take the week off, as we do most years. Scott's asking, do you celebrate the 4th up there, fireworks and such? No. July 4th, of course, Independence Day in the US, but July 1st is Canada Day. Yeah, Scott says, I mean, it's just another excuse to drink beer. I used to tease a friend of mine who was an avid fisherman, and I told him fishing was just an excuse to drink beer before noon. And he turns to me and he says, what do you think golfing is? Yeah, okay. Good point. All right, what do we got here now? Back to the median line again at the 70-17 zone. And this now that bullish push. So I think it's safe to assume, like I said, the buyers now in control. And you can pretty much look for any buying opportunity to get on board here. Even one of these secondary signals, one of these discretionary signals. I can't believe how well The red bar buys have been working today on the eagle. There's another textbook red bar buy. Even though price got below the band, it is still a bullish signal, and just some incredible follow through on those signals this morning. All right, folks, gonna close up the room here in a few minutes. Friday could be a little hit and miss because, again, the holiday next week, although we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Fridays can be a little funny anyway. All right, no questions. Okay. Yeah, Steve says bowling is an excuse to eat fried onion rings. I would agree with that as well. All right, gang, I will see you tomorrow. Have yourselves a great day. Bye for now.